So right now our shift is going out tonight. I apologize for not being in uniform. I had back surgery about a month ago and I'm recovering from that. So when that meeting, I'm on light duty. But I'm glad to be here tonight. Thanks for coming out and taking interest in your community. Before I want to talk specifically about the incidents that you're really here for, I want to show you some tools that you can use using our internet and social media about how to keep track of information. A lot of you may have a mailing list or some type of social media, but you can also go to the city's webpage. I want to show you some tools for live crime data there. So if you go to the City of Carrollton webpage, cityofcarrollton.com, and if you click over, I'll go back to the home page, and you'll see the police banner, and click on that, and as you go to the police webpage, if you go to the police webpage, you'll see it says Crime Search Map. Everybody see it here on the left side? Crime Search Map. If you click on that, it says, are you sure you want to look up Raids Online? Raids Online is basically a web portal and a data resource gathering that takes, I believe Dallas is on the system, Coppell, I believe Farmers Branch, Carrollton, where all our reports are basically uploaded into this system to give the crime data. They also have an iPhone app for it that you can pull up on your iPhone. I don't know if it's available for Android, but if you go to your store, look at it. It's called Raids Online. And you pull up your app, and I can actually pull it up from my home and see what's going on in Carrollton. So if you go to the Raids Online app, this will pull up, and there's lots of cities throughout the United States that have this, but this will pull up Carrollton. And so as we just look around the current, we can see what current events are happening. But I really want to search down by, this shows all the different events. So if you look on the side, we can look and see, pardon me, blocking the screen. You can look and pick what kind of category of offense you're looking for, or if you're just looking for a particular type. Like right now, we're really worried about burglary of a habitation, right? Somebody's house that got broken into. So we'll drill down into that data, but you can pick whatever you want. You can also go through and pick what events you want to look for. So let's go back and just unselect.
Slide right, please. Thank you.
All right, we're going to just pick burglary of habitation is what we're really talking about here. Residential burglaries. And then we want to go back and talk about the date range. How far do you want to go back?
10 days.
10 days? Okay. Well, let's go the first of the month. How about that? We'll just be fair and see a little bit. So we're going to take November 1st through the 10th, and then it's going to pull up all the burglary habitations in that time frame. They were reported, yes. So if we come over and we're looking here at Gulf Springs and Kelly, so it pulls up all of them that are in that area that are reported to the police. All right, so you can pull up this app, and so let's go to the top one here. And it will tell you we had an attempted burglary of a habitation on the 7th. It was reported at 12:05 p.m. And it'll give the first two digits of the address. It won't give the full address for public information purposes, but Big Bend Drive. And it shows you about 1.34 miles. So you can click through and see what's going on in your neighborhood based on all the different, whatever crimes you're looking for. So this will provide you what's going on in your neighborhood. If you see the little drug symbol, don't be alarmed if we stop somebody on traffic and they've got drugs in the car. It'll show up with a little needle on there or something. So just be aware that what you're looking for. So go to each type of offense in each one, and you can see what's going on in your neighborhood during that time frame. So you had one up there. You had this one's at 2600 block of Ramblewood Drive. This one's at 2200 block at Hartley, 2400 block at Crown Court, and that one, Ledgemont, Burger Residence. So you can see what's going on exactly in your neighborhood. And let me back out a little bit during that time frame. And you see a lot of little dots there, right? So if you look at the whole Metroplex, it It's happening everywhere. It's not just this neighborhood. Throughout the Metroplex, you see lots of little blue dots, right? It's pulling all through Dallas, all those things. But if you start drilling down to your neighborhood, relatively compared to what went on that day in the entire Metroplex, it was pretty small. Now, what you're here for is, what are the police department doing about it? Well, I've already talked to the detective today. They already have a suspect that they've already identified for this offense, this spree that happened in your neighborhood. And at this point, they're still in the middle of the investigation. It's too early to me to say this is the guy, but they've already identified it. Now, how do they do that? Well, I'd like to think we have great detectives. I used to work over there. We have hard-working detectives. But also, one of the ways they do it is people tend to, what do they do with the stuff when they break and steal it from your house? Where do they sell it?
Pawn shops.
Pawn shops, right. And the pawn shops have this great system called Leads Online that every time you pawn something, you have to show your driver's license. And all that goes in a database, and our sharp detectives know to go to the database and pull it up, and they can find out, lo and behold, they pawned one of the items from the burglaries here. So they're already on to it, working on that. It's too early to say that we've got your stuff or your stuff, but we're well on the way to solving that. And this is a frequent occurrence. Most of these people are driven by drugs or some type of addiction. They're looking for quick money to make that. So I want to show you, let's go back before we go to some crime prevention strategies. If you go back to the end of the webpage, you can look through in all the different types of offenses. I just want to show you kind of what's going on from a police perspective. When you see what's going on in the whole Metroplex during that time, you see lots of dots. So it says we reached the maximum number of records, 5 or 600 for that whole time frame. So we can probably drill that a little bit more. And so you'll see some vehicle burglaries in here. A theft at a Dallas Police Department, so that's over in Dallas. You'll see all the different types of offenses starting showing up about what's exactly going on in the city. So this is the life in the Metroplex now. But if you think, how many think that's really bad? I mean, that's really horrible. It's bad that you see the dots, but I want to explain to you a little bit about Carrollton and some of our crimes. Have you ever heard of one thing is the way we track is our calls for service. Every time somebody picks up the phone and calls the police, we have generate calls for service. And if you look since 2010 year to date, our calls for service are pretty consistent. They're down a little bit this year, but they're pretty consistent. We get about 3,600 calls for the police every month. So that's pretty consistent. Well, how do we measure what we're doing? One of the ways is the activity, the service response incidents. I want you to compare that with, this is how we measure what our officers are out there doing. The police, people aren't calling law enforcement as much, or about average, but look at what's happened in the numbers since 2010. You see a large spike? Anybody notice the officers out there, every time you drive around Carrollton, you see somebody stopped on traffic? Maybe you've been stopped, my wife's been stopped. I understand all that. But one of the ways we do, how do the burglars get around? You seen them driving out or riding a bike down Willigate with carrying a flat panel? No, they came in a car, right? So if we contact more people in cars, that's how we have a lot of successes, especially my night shifts out tonight. I expect them to be driving up and down these roads, stopping cars for traffic violations to try to locate the burglars. They're coming in a car. So, you know, when I was growing up, my mom used to say, you always have to be home by midnight. And I'm like, Mom, why do I have to be home by midnight? Just trust me. Well, back in the early 1990s, I used to work this area, and I called my mom one night, and I said, you know, you're right. The only people out in the middle of the night are drunks, burglars, and newspaper delivery people, right? And she was right. So that's what's really going out there. So we expect our officers to be very proactive, and you see how active they are. This is a measure of what a better job we're doing of getting out. How does that affect your crime stats? Everybody heard, you probably heard the FBI Part 1 and Part 2 crimes. This is how a standardized format for reporting crimes across the United States. Each police department reports their crimes. And if you look at year-to-date criminal homicide, we're very fortunate. We use average maybe 1 or 2, and it's usually a known person that commits a Forcible rapes are very almost undetectable. And if you look at robberies, they're pretty much way down. Aggravated assaults down. And this is what we're looking at here, is the burglaries. Is the burglary of habitation specifically. If you look from 2010, we had 758 reported. And now we're down to 430. Does that look like you're getting your money's worth? Yes, ma'am.
What's the difference between robbery and burglary?
Okay, robbery is when someone comes up to you and pulls a gun and says, give me your wallet.
A person.
To a person, yes. Or like if someone knocks somebody down and steals their purse and causes injury, that would be a robbery. So most of y'all, most people, when they say, I was robbed, my house was robbed, well, what you really mean, it was burglarized, right? There was no force used. Now, if they came in and pointed a gun at you and said, I'm in your house, that would be a robbery. But most of the terms you want to use is, my house was burglarized. So if you look at the burglary there, you see that it's dropped way off, and you see a correlation maybe between how much the officers are out there doing and how much it's dropped off, burglary is dropping off. So continuing down, larceny, theft, and you see that continues to go down. There are some retail establishments that are keeping that number way up with shoplifters, especially in economic times. But you can see even larceny, theft, that could be at a retail establishment or somebody, like my in-laws live in town, somebody stole baby Jesus out of the nativity scene one year. Very interesting, they stole it, and I told my father-in-law, I said, write your name on your little statues outside. And lo and behold, I went and asked the detective after that, and he goes, we just caught some kids the other night that had taken them and put in somebody else's yard, and he was able to recover his Christmas display based on that fact. So, if you got little displays out there, take a Sharpie and write your information on there. That way, if the kids come around and steal it at their holidays, we know how to find it. Motor vehicle thefts continue to go down. So, what I'm telling you is, since 2010, crime continues to drop in Carrollton. The officers are out there doing a great job in trying to reduce crime. So what can you do about specifically to make your house a harder target? Well, tonight looks like he's got some camera setups. One of the things we get a lot of is a lot of people have camera setups in their house. We've had outstanding setups with audio and crystal clear video, especially if they have infrared. Setting those cameras up at night and being able to have that video available for us if an event does happen helps us solve the crime, because if you don't have anything to show at your house, we don't know who was there, what they were driving. That's how we solve a lot of the homicides and stuff is going. And you see on TV, we all go pull security footage from anywhere we can find it. Well, having it at your house, we've had incidents where people have been out of state and they pull it up on their phone and look and see somebody suspicious around their house, and they'll call dispatch. And okay, so let's go back over that. So if something's happening and you're worried, you say, that just doesn't look right, who do you call? The police. Call 911. My wife, she even calls me sometimes, hey, there was a suspicious guy over there. I said, why are you calling me? Call 911. I have to tell her, call 911. That's what we're there for. I heard Bill Bratton, the New York Police Commissioner, he had a nice saying that I like is, see something, say something. That's what we're there for. That's why you're paying your tax dollars. Right now, there's probably 15 squad cars driving around Carrollton right now, and they may be on calls, but they're sitting there waiting for you to call. So when you see something, it may, no matter how suspicious or how insuspicious it looks, call the police. That's what we're there for. You're our eyes and ears out there. Don't be afraid to call. There's no such thing as a stupid question or a stupid call. That may be the link that we're looking for to help solve a crime. So one thing, go back to call. Two is look at putting up cameras. And if you talk about look at cameras, they're all across the spectrum on costs. Now at my house, I got 4 kids, and so we got to make a choice between putting cameras up and feeding. So what did I do? I got online and got the fake cameras. For $8, I've got dummy cameras at my house. You put a AA battery in them, and it blinks a little red light, and I've had the battery in there for 5 months now, and it's still blinking. And you go by and it blinks like every 30 seconds or so. So I put 2 of them up. I just ordered 2 more. Put cameras up. Do you think that the criminal that's driving down your alley Is he gonna stop at the house with the cameras or with no cameras? Probably no cameras, right? Another thing that I do at my house is, do you think criminals like to draw attention like dogs? They don't want to have any barking or anything. So you go to Walmart or your local store and get the beware of dog signs and put those, whether you have a dog or not, it's really irrelevant. Oh, I don't want to go to a house that's got the dog there. So cameras, putting up your beware of dog signs. The next thing to do is just look at your house. Are you locking the back gate? If you look at a lot of the offenses that happen, people have these real nice privacy fences, right? Can you see in the backyard? No, you can't see in the backyard in most cases, and that's what the criminals like, because they can go in the backyard and kick your back door in, nobody sees it, right? So think about locking your gate. We have a problem with when we go out to alarm sometimes is if we get into the backyard, sometimes the gate's locked, and then the officer's stuck in the backyard. But it's not too much fun if you have to call the fire department out to get the officer out of the backyard. They kind of make fun of us. But that's what you want is somebody come in your backyard, they're stuck, right? So think about locking your gate, especially if you have a big, high 8-foot privacy fence. People very rarely climb over that. So you secure your fence. Now I briefly talked about alarms. Alarm systems are very valuable, because you think when they enter your house and that alarm noise goes off, that tells them that I've got to go, because who's going to be called? Most likely the police. You have to get a permit through the city and pay a permit fee, and we do a verified response. But that allows the police department to get notified that there's something going on at your house. Now, when the high wind comes through or anything like that, doors blow open that aren't locked, but we understand that. But if the weather's nice and it's not windy and we get an alarm in the middle of the afternoon, you know, about 99% of the alarms are false. But if we do have that one, we come out and we all check them all out. So have an alarm system that's monitored. Now they have alarm systems that you can have cameras in your house, whatever you want, you can look it up on your phone. So alarms are another way of being able to secure your residence. Also look at your doors. Are you locking them? We go out numerous times that the door is left unlocked. I come home and my kids have gone out the back door for something. They didn't lock the door. I'm like, y'all left the door unlocked today. We need to lock the door. Granted, we had the alarm on, but make sure your doors are locked. Make sure you've got a deadbolt on them. Make sure the windows are closed. Make sure the windows are locked. So just going through your house and making sure that you're going to have a harder target to prevent the criminals from coming in and slowing them down. So, all right, let's start talking about specific questions and anything else. Any questions about crime or crime in your area? I've got more maps and more details that we can talk about. Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you have a suspect that you think you have, then would there be an opportunity for people who saw someone knocking on their door on that day to come forward in some sort of lineup?
So the way they would do it, once they have a suspect identified, if you're listed as a witness or a suspect, then the detectives may contact you. But if you didn't see if you maybe saw something that didn't contact them, if you call 972-466-3300 and ask for Detective Frade, he's the one that's working most of these cases, and tell him what you saw, he may use you as in a photo lineup of the suspect. They also have physical evidence from a couple of these offenses where there were fingerprints left in the house. We had a crime scene technician come out and actually lifted fingerprints, and they're searching the databases now and then doing a comparison. A lot of them wear gloves, and so you're not getting anything, but maybe they were stupid enough not to have gloves on, and we actually have some good fingerprints, so we'll just have to see. But yes, if you call 466-3300, that's the detectives, and you can talk to Detective Frade. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that 99% of alarm alerts are false alarms. Do you have any stats on what average response time is for those?
Let's see if I can pull it up in our monthly report. Here's just some more, as I go through, we'll answer that. If you look at our year-to-date arrests for the past 5 years, you notice we've substantially put more people in jail. And those are less people out there breaking into things, stealing things. Some of those may be from traffic warrants, but if you look at our statistics, they've been doing a good job of incarcerating offenders. And we run about 600 prisoners through the jail each month. Just for fun facts.
What is typical out of 600?
I can look through the breakdown here. This year to date, just some stats while I'm waiting, we probably, I think, put 450 intoxicated drivers in jail just in Carrollton. And you think how far we're into the year so far, we've done 450, and it's not even the holidays yet. So, those are the ones we found. I mean, most people make it home safely. I know nobody in here has ever driven home when they've had one or two too many, but most of them we don't ever catch. They usually make it home safe, and we've already got 450 this year. So. Some of it is, this is our monthly report, so there are some stuff in here that's probably confidential or criminal justice information. If you look at the arrests here, who gets thrown put in jail in Carrollton, the majority of them are Carrollton traffic. These are people driving around with no driver's license, no insurance, and those are about 29%. Out-of-town warrants are about 35%. DWIs, you see about 5% of our time is putting intoxicated drivers in jail. And Class B or above, the 14%. Those are the anything from forgeries, any type of offense other than the traffic. And you see a very small percentage of is the immigration hold, 1.59%. Those are the people that come in and they may have, we're one of the few departments in the state that actually have certified immigration personnel that can actually put a detainer on them if they don't believe they're a citizen, and they'll hold them for the federal government to come in and determine whether they're legal citizens or not. All right, let's get back to the alarm data. Usually during the day shift it's longer because of traffic and more call volumes. Could be 5 minutes, it could be 20 minutes. It just all depends. And again, if a storm comes through and blows through, a large percentage of the alarms in Carrollton will go off. And so 99% of them are false, and we go through and answer them all. But usually 5 to 20 minutes. Now, what's the fastest way to get the police to your house if you have an emergency? You pick up, call 911, and that's the fastest way to get the police to your house for the emergencies, and that's usually 3 to 4 minutes in most cases for a response time. So,
and that covers if you're reporting a burglary that you're seeing in progress at your house.
yes, someone's breaking into the house across the street. I see them. And that goes up to like a priority 1 call is an officer down, somebody's gotten shot, we need everybody there. A priority 2 is a shooting, stabbing, something really, really critical. A burglary in progress would probably be a 3, I'd have to look at the exact chart, but in the hierarchy of things, that's a high priority call. It's an immediate dispatch call. Even if everybody's out on something, the dispatcher will get on the radio and say, we need units to clear for a burglary in progress right away. Matter of fact, they do these. If anybody's a scanner person, you'll hear these alert tones, beep, 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 beep. And that means that's our clue that something's coming across the radio that we need to get going on. and that means everybody starts clearing. And especially during the day, the detectives are out, there's all kind of undercover people out, that really gets them going, so. Yes, ma'am?
Do you get, okay, if I have a security system.
Yes, ma'am.
Monitor, somebody breaks in, the alarm goes off, does the alarm company call you? Because I know they call my home to see if it's a false alarm, and then they have alternate numbers for me, and even on the alarm permit, you know, you have alternate numbers.
Right.
I'm wondering, does the alarm company go through those alternate numbers before they send you, the police, or do they call the police and go through the alternate
You'd have to,
numbers?
that may be, her question is, how do alarm companies dispatch alarms? And I think it's a depends answer, because we've had incidences, it usually happens with a business. A business will get alarm in the middle of the night, and they may have a rat running through their warehouse that's been setting it off, and then they'll get a call from the alarm company and go, no, don't send the police, I'll check on it tomorrow. What usually happens in those circumstances? It ends up being a good burglary, and they go, I should let the police come out and answer the alarm. So you just have to ask your alarm company whether they call a key holder first or call the police department first. You want them to go ahead and call us first and get us en route. You can always cancel. Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that could be minutes wasted if they're calling my home and then calling my cell and then calling the second person. And I mean, that could be 4 or 5 minutes, and it could be.
Now here at night, the alarms we usually get at businesses, it may be a cleaning crew, but if we do have a good burglary, like they'll go to the shopping center and smash the window out to steal the flat panel off the wall, they're in and out in about 3 minutes, because we know from video, we have people in hoodies covered up with their face covered up, and they're in and out in 2 or 3 minutes. Usually by the time the dispatcher gets the alarm call, that they're already gone. So, yes, sir.
Like your dispatches, we pick up the cell phone, locate the cell phone.
Yes, it's got some functionality about getting pretty close. Yes. I can't give you an exact how close can we get. And then from the detective side, if we have people that call and say, I want to kill myself, and they're on their cell phone. We have ways of working with the cell phone companies to actually try to locate that person and help them. And the technology is only going to get better and better about locating. Back when I was a detective, we would get within like a quarter of a mile or something if we were trying to find somebody on the cell phone. Now it's getting pretty accurate, so. Yes, ma'am.
So you're talking about the MO of the type of thing that happened the other week?
Yes.
So was that about, like, did they have trucks and they were taking, stuff out of people's homes, or were they working from their cars, or what was?
Would you cover that? Would you go over the MO of what they were doing and then?
Yeah, so they're
answer
basically
questions?
pulling around, and then the most of them, we actually have videos of them. I don't know if I can pull it up right now. Videos, they'll pull around your back driveway, and usually someone will go around to the front door. Now, I usually work at night, I'm home sleeping during the day. I don't answer the door very much because I'm sleeping. But if you're home during the day and someone knocks on your door, I tell my wife, at least go look and see who it is, because they usually park in back, and then they'll go around the front, knock on the door. If nobody answers, they'll either kick the front door in or go around to the back door and kick the back door in. Maybe break a window, but kicking the door, most doors aren't made to withstand, a rather large person kicking in the door. But most of them will kick the back door in and go in. If they heard the alarm, they'll flee. But this is where you have to know your neighbors. Hey, my next door neighbor or the neighbor over there, I've never seen this black pickup backed in the driveway. That's a little strange. We have that happen a lot. Hey, I saw something, but I didn't think about calling. That's what I keep telling you. That's why you pay your taxes. We have dispatchers sitting there waiting to answer the phone call for you. Call the police and they go, I see a truck over there. Hey, it may be the home repair person that they called over, but I would rather you call and let's work it out and make sure there's nothing to it than have the other thing happen. So yes, they usually pull in the back driveway, knock on the front door, nobody answers, they don't hear a dog or anything, and they go around and kick the back door in. So.
If you don't want to call, you can just take a picture of the truck with your cell phone and sure you get the license. That's some good info for the cops.
Yep, anything like that. And again, if you have a video system in your drive that captures the driveway, you'll be able to pull up that video and give it to the police and go, a black truck drove by. We may not get the license plate off of it, but everything we have about the time and information about the offense will help us solve that crime, so. Yes, ma'am, I think you're first. Yes, ma'am.
Burglaries that happened on the 7th are from the same person or same group of people?
Talking from her question is, do we think the same person did the burglaries on the 7th? And I believe from talking to the detective, yes, that it's probably the same person. Statistically, it would be pretty rare that two burglars just happen to be driving down the same street at the same time. So I would think that, yes, he feels pretty good that they probably did several of those, especially in one area. So, and, yes, sir.
Does the city of Carrollton employ license plate scanning cameras?
His question is, does the city of Carrollton employ license plate scanners? Of course, that's a pretty hot topic now of should the police be able to look at license plate scanners? Yes, we have license plate scanners on some of our vehicles. If you look at, you'll see most of our cars now are transitioned to the Tahoe fleets, and you'll see 4 small rectangular boxes on the top of the vehicle. And it looks like they got have a lens in them, reflective lens, and those are license plate scanners. So each day when the officer goes out, they get uploaded a hot list of stolen vehicles and also vehicles with warrants. And as they drive along, that will scans license plates. And it alerts, says there's a stolen car there, or they're driving through a parking lot like we expect the officers tonight to be driving through the parking lots at apartments, any place there's a lot of cars, and we'll find stolen vehicles there from the alerts from the license plate readers. I mean, back when I started, you had to stop, call out the license plate to the dispatcher, they type it in the computer at the dispatch and come back over the radio. Now it's pretty neat. The technology does it all for you. But yes, what that also does is captures that license plate. Now, anybody familiar with the Nancy Howard case that was on Dateline? If you're familiar with Nancy Howard, she lived up north and her husband was convicted of trying to have a hitman hit her, shoot her and kill her. Fortunately, she didn't die and wasn't successful, but part of that case was built on a license plate scan up by the Chili's on North Josie. That the vehicle that was used by one of the suspects, the license plate was scanned. Our volunteers sometimes drive around their vehicles scanning the license plates. We can go back and search that if we have a suspicious vehicle we're looking for, and actually look at the license plate scan. Other questions? Yes, sir.
What, on the November 7th spree, what was the time frame and time of day?
I think it was around noon, I believe.
It was midday.
Midday. Yeah, usually they're not going to come out at 6 or 7 in the morning. Most of them after people have gone to work. Plus drug addicts usually don't get up that early. So yeah, they're not going to be out there at 7 a.m. after the kids get on the bus, right? So usually it happens mid-morning until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon when the kids come home from school. So prime time for them probably is 9 or 10 in the morning to 2, 3, maybe 4. 4's kind of risky because the kids are already coming home. So those are your prime time. Now another little crime tip is when you do your lawn, if you leave your lawnmower in the front and you go around to the back and get your tasty beverage out of the garage, right? Somebody may drive down your street and like your Honda lawnmower better than you do. And we have a problem with that, especially in the summertime, is people driving up and down the alley shopping, or they'll drive up and down the front. It's sad that if you're going to go work in the front yard, shut your garage door and close your gate and go around and do it on the other side. And when you get to the backyard, shut your garage door if you're working out in the backyard. Just another little crime tip. So, yes, sir.
Are the garage doors or the fence doors?
Garage doors and fence doors, I mean, it's just as strong as the bolt that you're going to have holding them on like a fence. Usually you can have some type of locking mechanism. If you lock them from the inside of the gate, it's a little bit easier to secure it because you've seen all the little cutoffs. They got grinders that cut those locks off. You see what's those storage things, the storage shows? You watch them cut the locks off like that, right? So they're pretty easy. But if they're on the other side, on the inside of the gate, they're a little bit easier to secure that. They can't get in there. Garage doors are pretty secure, but I think on one of them, somebody had, they actually ripped out part of the garage door. This will happen in warehouses sometimes where they'll have a 10-foot garage door. It's 10 foot wide by 20 foot high. They'll take a little corner of it and rip it up enough with the metal or cut it, and then they can go inside and unlock the inside. So, you know, it's not 100% security, but again, keeping that closed and keeping it down, so. Other questions? Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
can you kind of walk us through what happened with the specific burglaries? Because the garage door thing sounds very different from kicking in a patio door. To me.
So, again,
They hit the garage door with a car, they bent the door in, and they went in through the garage door section.
So the same.
It was not your typical, probably not related to the other six. It was not the same MO, and a completely different tactic was used to get into the
And
house.
didn't they have dogs in that house too?
They did have dogs in the house.
That's what's
They
odd.
must have known that they had dogs because they put the dog kennel in front of the dog door, and dogs could only get into the kennel.
yeah, some of them is the kick door, some of it they go through the garage door, some of them they go through the front door. Some of them, there's just no rhyme or reason to why they do it that way. It's the crime of opportunity. Yes, sir.
You can't stop them from bashing your garage door down, but if you've got kids especially, how many times have you walked out in the morning and saw your garage door has been open all night because somebody went out there and it's been open? Home Depot sells a very inexpensive little sensor that you put one part on the garage door and the other part either in the kitchen or the bedroom or somewhere where there's a freezing red light. And when the door is open, the light blinks red. And when it's closed, it's green. So that way, when you're in the house, normally, once you're in the house for the night, you're not opening up the garage door to see if the door's closed. So this is just a very inexpensive way to make sure at least you don't make it easy.
Yes, and so open garage doors is a problem, especially at night. What people do, what they do at night is, if you leave your car out in the driveway at night, we usually leave our garage door opener up on the visor right. So they'll break in, and car burglaries is a whole other problem that we have is, I tell my wife, don't leave your purse out in the open. They're going to smash your window out and take your stuff. But even if you don't have a purse visible, they can smash the window out, hit the garage door opener, and go into your garage. So trying to secure that and making sure that your garage is shut. Part of the job of the officers at night is I expect them to be driving up and down the alleys, and we'll find garage doors open, and they need to ring the doorbell or have the dispatcher call their phone number and go, hey, you need to shut your garage door. We get lots of thank you letters for people going, hey, you shut my garage door. You noticed that when you were driving up and down the alley. But again, the police can't do everything. My neighbor will text me, or I'll text him when my garage door is open, or I come home at 3 in the morning, his is open. I text him and go, hey man, your garage door is open. So again, we can't be everywhere, but if y'all watch out for each other and look out for your neighbors, that helps. Yes, ma'am.
For a while, we were hearing that burglars had devices to read the special code for garage doors.
Right.
Have you seen much of that, or have our automatic garage door closures been secure?
We suspect that's in some of them. I think the newer technology now, if you buy a new home now or buy a new garage door opener, they'll specifically say on there that this is designed for anti-scanning technology. It basically changed the codes as it operates. So look at your garage door opener. Another thing you saw that was happening, or you might have seen the news stories, was they would run like a wire up on top of the garage door to reach in and pull the handle. They may have something at one of your local stores that may prevent that. That's pretty rare. I mean, think about, they've got to go stand outside somebody's garage and fish around. And especially during the daylight when somebody may drive by, think about what would you do if you saw somebody at your neighbor's house fishing on the garage door. Oh, they're getting the garage door fixed on, or man, hey, that doesn't look right. I'm going to call the police. That's what we're there for. So, yes,
It
ma'am.
takes about 10 seconds, you're in your garage, and they're not kicking your door in and setting your alarm off. So it's not quite as, innocuous as you might make it sound. It's a quick, easy way to get in without being detected at all.
And they're doing it for cars now too. We suspect, and there's been some information that they have a code generator that will pop your door locks. Because we've had people, I know I locked my car, but their stuff is missing out of it. So again, just make sure you've locked, take your valuables with you, take lock and hide. Our life would be a lot easier if people didn't leave their stuff in the vehicle visible for somebody to smash the window out. Last weekend, one of our local parks, we had a trend of people breaking in every weekend shopping for purses.
Which part?
McKinnish Park, to be specific. Big soccer tournaments out there, and that they were actually a strong pattern of people would go leave their purses in their car, and this group would particularly take purses, and they would go while you're out there at your soccer tournament. People come and go in all the time. Somebody pull up to the car, smash the window out. They've got a purse, they do 3 or 4, and they're gone. And actually through the detectives doing a surveillance operation, that let them do it. And I actually made some arrests recently. It's not even on the news yet, but this group is out of Florida. It's called a Felony Lane Gang. If you've heard the news, and you might have heard them, it's a felony. These people come from Florida to do this because it's easy shopping because people leave their valuables in their car. And that's how they earn a living, unfortunately. So, yes, ma'am.
So what's your advice to you working or you're just home during the day and somebody knocks at your door? You look out and you don't see a car and you don't recognize the person. What are you telling people to do?
I would tell them go ahead and call the police. That's what we're there for. Hey, I don't recognize this person. I don't see them. They may be just a harmless solicitor, but you don't know. And then they have to have a solicitor's permit if they're. It's a good chance for us to talk to them. Sad to say, a large percentage of the solicitors have warrants for their arrest because that's what their job is. They may have got a ticket for doing something that they maybe even soliciting without a permit, and they got a citation for that. But yeah, if you don't recognize it, call us. That's what they're there for. You don't know whether they're trying to break into your home or ask you for a glass of water. But if you don't recognize them, call us. That's what we're there for. So, yes, ma'am.
What do you give permits for people to listen? What kind of things?
If you go to the city webpage, it's specific. You've got the ones that are selling your magazines, and all the way to the Girl Scout and Boy Scout. Boy Scouts and the popcorn, Girl Scouts and the cookies and all that. But they have to get a specific permit to do the magazines and things like that.
There's
Roofs.
supposed to be a background check.
Yeah, they'll run them through. It's gotten a lot better. And, back in the day, they really could come ply their trade because they would say that they're engaged in interstate commerce. But we passed some ordinances now. That's why you don't see them standing on the street corner anymore. They're not supposed to be at Beltline and Josie with the bucket in their outfits asking for money. If you see them, call us. We have an ordinance that prohibits that, so we'll take care of that too. So.
I've noticed some other cities have, some of the neighborhoods have some signs that say no soliciting, no flyers. Is that legal? Is that something we can?
Yes, we have a great volunteer group. If you're interested in serving in the community, we have a great group of citizen volunteers. We have a Citizens Police Academy, and after they go through that, they actually help us. We have several vehicles that they drive around. They help us on the holiday season. You'll see them up at Walmart, Target, driving through shopping centers. I can tell them, hey, we need you over here. We're having a lot of issues with vehicles getting broken into our houses. They will come, and those people will spend hours out driving around helping us. They take our cases to the district attorney's office for us. But what this does is it frees up the officers instead of us having to do all that. We've got volunteers that help us out tremendously. But as a part of that, the volunteers sell these little signs that you have one.
They still come.
Call us. That's a violation. So if you have a sign that says no soliciting or anything like that, we can issue them a citation if they come and ring your doorbell and try to sell you a newspaper or whatever they're selling. But if you come to the police department, they sell these signs. You remember how much you paid for them?
It's $10 or $15.
$10 or $15. It's a nice aluminum sign that says no soliciting, and it's got the Carrollton Police, I think, Alumni Association or volunteers, and it may have the ordinance on there or something, no soliciting. So put that out in front of your house. If they do come by and solicit, we can issue them a citation for violating that part of the statute. What's that?
Does that go for the church groups too?
Well, we have to go back and look at the ordinance exactly. Well, there's a difference between soliciting for funds versus, just inviting someone to your place of worship, so. So, and freedom of speech, so. Yes, ma'am.
What do you say about outside lights for night?
Outside lights are great. He's got some over.
Good, doesn't it? Leave them on all night, don't leave them on, motion sensor.
When we look at videos, when we have videos of somebody's back driveway, what you'll usually see is the suspect will come up and unscrew the floodlights. Why? Because they like it nice and dark, nobody sees it. And luckily, if you have infrared cameras there, that it'll pick it all up. But yeah, any kind of motion sensor light, put them on all four corners of your house if you have that much money. That way, anything to light it up and make it well lit is another deterrent. Any other questions? Anything you want me to tell the chief? Anything, I'll pass it on, so. Yes, ma'am.
I had a couple of those legal things, but so, and then I got a letter that said, if this happens again, we're gonna charge you $150. Is that right?
Yes, in the ordinance, it says basically you get, I think maybe 3 false alarms. I haven't looked at it in a while, but you'll get 3 false alarms, and then after that, they start charging you every time you come out. So, but you know, how many thousands of homes we have in Carrollton, if everybody uses 3, then we spend a lot of time on that. So that's why that's in place, because you can spend a lot of time answering alarms.
Years ago, right?
Yeah, I believe it's 12 months, yes ma'am. Yes, sir, you have a question?
I said it used to be free, they only started charging like 10 years ago.
Yeah, after, I mean, they really spiked. Once we really started building homes, and everybody's got an alarm system now, so, or most people, so. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Cameras that you were talking about, they'll record, or they just see what's happening?
A lot of them will actually record. They'll be web-based. Let me see if I can pull up one real quick.
The question was, do the video cameras on your house record, or do they just, or not?
I think all his goes to
Yes, sir. We can address it. Okay. Yeah, he can show you some of the videos. I've actually got some surveillance videos there. We'll actually show you. So those will record live over the IT, and you can see it. So, anything else would you like to ask? Any thoughts? Anything you need to address? Well, anyway, the phone number. Yes, ma'am. So, you know, making sure you have the latches at the top and the bottom, and a part of that will be the size of the screws that are holding that in. That's going to be your weak point, is how... Yes, ma'am, and then the screws that hold the latch into the wood. Yeah, those are going to be your weak point. The emergency number, if you don't want to call 911, the phone number to dispatch is 972-466-3333. And if you program that in your phone and say call police dispatch, maybe you don't think it's a 911 worthy incident, but that will take you straight into the dispatch center, and it's the same people answering the phone. They'll answer a 911 over 3333. So,
Can you say it one more time?
972-466-3333. Yes, sir.
One thing I found that's pretty cheap, if you have an alarm system, most of them have a chime when you open the front door or the back door. I suggest people always keep, a lot of the wives don't like the noise. But when you open that door, and it's one of these like, kind of people, and they hear that beep beep noise, they know you got an alarm, and they tend to stay away. One of the reasons why they come knocking on the door is to see what happens when the front door opens. See what kind of locks you have on it and things like that. They hear that beep beep, they know the alarm is working.
Anything else? Well, thanks for having me. If you have any questions, call dispatch and they can put you in touch. We have a lot of stuff on our webpage that are good resources for you to look at. Again, go to Raids Online, put it on your phone. Every day you can pull up, see what's going on in your neighborhood, in Carrollton, anywhere in the area. And don't be afraid to call 3300. That's where the detective section are, and you can ask about a particular incident. Maybe you're worried about what's going on. So, all right. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Next, we have Pat Kreiner, who's going to come up and talk to us about some of the things that he has and some things that he's done to secure his house. He's got a device to protect your garage door so they can't go in there. catch that emergency handle and open your garage door, as well as he'll talk about some things he did to his back door that prevented them from actually getting in. Pat?
Hey, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Good to meet you too. All right, good, thank you. Did anybody ever recall him telling you how long it took to respond to the home alarm?
4 or 5 minutes.
It's the lowest priority on the list. And so several years ago when we started doing the Crime Watch meetings, it occurred to me that somebody had said, long screws in your strike plates will help keep your house from being broken into. And mine was the house that didn't get broken into. And it's because I had the long screws in my strike plates. And I installed them on a lot of houses in the neighborhood at the time. They destroyed our steel door and still could not gain entry into the house. So in addition to the screws, which I've offered to do on people's houses for $10, I have also come up with a double strike plate with 9 screws. And when you anchor 9 3.5-inch screws into 2x4s, it's gonna, at very minimum, it's gonna make them take a lot of time to get into your house, and they don't want to do that. So I think really part of what I'm trying to do is not so much sell you something, because this is something that you can go buy anywhere. I'm trying to give you ideas, and I have developed some products as well. This product is one that you can put on top of your garage door so that they can't stick a hanger in and hook your emergency cord. And I don't know how many of you are aware of it or not, but you can push the top of your garage door, stick a clothes hanger in, pull the emergency cord, release the garage door, no alarm goes off, you can slip inside, close the door, and you got a free-for-all in somebody's garage. And the garage door is the weakest door in the house. Kicking it open, nobody's even gonna hear it. Now, it might be alarmed, and your alarm may go off. But in our houses in this neighborhood, most of the breaker boxes are in the garage. So if our criminal has a half a brain, he's gonna go shut the breaker off. And if you're like me, you have a flashlight out in your garage. So I take the flashlight, I go to the breaker box, I turn it on, I shut the breaker off, and all of a sudden the house is without power. It's without Wi-Fi, it's without your protection. So I developed this so that somebody can't come up and get into your house in 30 seconds. And unlike the officer who says it doesn't happen very much, go to YouTube and look at how often it happens, because they'll show you. We do the singles for the garage doors. I would recommend you put a bolt on your garage door if you don't have one, and use a double. If you want to use a single, you can do that as well. We have the garage door device that tells you if you've left your garage door open or closed. We have the fake cameras with the LED lights on them. You see it flashing about every 5 seconds. And who knows whether it's fake or whether it's real. It's made by the people who make real cameras, so you have no idea whether it's fake or not. And if you got a camera, the likelihood is you're going to turn around and walk the other way. We also do the motion detector lights. And like the officer said, you can go up and unscrew the bulb, but if you mount it up in the eave of the house, you can't reach the bulb. It requires a little more to protect your house by putting it up in the eave, but it's better protection at the same time. So what we didn't really talk about was what do you do if you find somebody what do you do if you find your gate open when you get home from work? Have any of you given it any thought? We found our gate open when we got home from work 2 weeks ago and didn't know exactly what the situation was. So the first thing I did was I reached underneath my seat and I pulled out my .45. And I walked into the backyard
Good,
and
Matt, now we know where your gun is.
yeah, well, there's plenty more, so that's just one. 2 years ago, by the way, our crime watch officer said, if you want real protection, go get a gun. Because we'll be there to take the report after they break into your house, but we really aren't going to be able to do anything while they're breaking into your house. So anyway, I grabbed my gun, I walked into the backyard, I determined that the back door was not breached, and then I opened up the garage door and we walked inside again with my gun in my hand, and when my detective showed up, he was shining a flashlight into my front door that night. He saw a gun in my hand, and I think that they don't discuss what you should do when you come across a situation. If you're inside your house, it's dark outside. If you're in bed at night, do you have a flashlight? Do you have a very bright flashlight that can temporarily blind somebody when you shine it in their eyes in a dark room? Your eyes are adjusted for the darkness. Their eyes are adjusted for the darkness, and when you hit them with a flashlight, and you can get them in all sizes and descriptions, these happen to all be LEDs, you'll temporarily blind them, and you'll be able to buy yourself some time to get out of your house. And I think that's pretty important. Everybody should have a very bright flashlight in their house all the time. Sherry located this device, which is it's a high-pitch alarm. It's 130 decibels. It's got 2 LED lights on it. You can use it as a keychain. 130 decibels is damn loud. It's like a jet engine 50 feet away from you. I would consider having something like this if I were you. I think I've got a couple of other things down here.
You know, one thing that we didn't mention when the officer was here, if you're gonna be gone on vacation for a while, most of the automatic garage doors have a vacation button.
Sure.
That if you turn it off, even when we open it, the door won't open.
You can always unplug the power as well. You can unplug the power. You can also use the lock that goes.
Power system way up there. Usually on the button where you push in the box, there's a vacation button. And basically what it does is the button will still work inside the garage, but the remote control won't work.
Oh, I don't have that. That's great to know.
It's pretty good.
Peepholes. Does everybody have a peephole in their house? You can buy these now that have a camera that's on the outside and an LED screen that's on the inside. Very neat. You don't have to get close to your door to tell if somebody's outside. You don't have to they don't have to know that you're there. We also have these little entry locks that flip across in front of the door. They offer you some minor amount of slowdown, in my opinion. Yeah. This is a neat device. It's a wireless driveway, kind of an infrared detector. And if you think about avenues in and out of your dwelling. It has a red flashing LED on it. And this half has 4 lights on it. It has a low and a high volume. You could put the device so that it notifies you if somebody was coming into your backyard, if they were coming up your driveway or into your driveway area towards your garage maybe. It's like I said, it's a low and a high. The high is pretty bad. You might want to think about cutting somebody off at the pass, and that's kind of what that does. Rick has had them in his house for 2 years now, and he uses it every day. We can also do the big floods, if you want to light up a huge area. So anyway, these products are up here. You guys can take a look at them. I've got some paper that you can look at. I've got a deal on the garage door. If you want to fill it out and have me come by your house and take a look at it, or if you want to discuss any of the other, we're looking into a cellular-based home security system, which doesn't rely on 120 volt power, and it doesn't rely on your Wi-Fi system in your house. So it works off of a prepaid cellular plan, just like the one in your pocket. It has a battery backup, and if somebody were to shut your power off like they could, this device will continue to work and arm your house, and you can access it with your smartphone and look at the cameras in it as well. So, pardon?
Only for $10?
16. Does anybody have any questions?
What was that thing that, was that? What's that? Going walking from the store?
You know, I would probably carry it if I were out taking a walk.
Yeah, okay.
I might keep it. You know what? There are a tremendous amount of single women that live in this neighborhood. I was kind of shocked to find out how many, and I would recommend that every woman have, at very least, a very bright flashlight and some method of notifying somebody else that they're in trouble. And the siren would be a great item to have. As well as beefing up your house, I think is a smart thing to do.
Question, did you see most, or have you heard of most of the burglary entries being door-oriented or window-oriented?
Oh, I think that by far they go through a door more than the window. I've got a window in my door. They didn't kick it in.
That's what's weird.
They kicked the door.
Is that weird?
You know why? Because on most doors, there are 2 points of real security. It's the pin from your bolt that goes like this, and it's the latch from your handle that goes like this. And one swift kick right here, and it knocks the inside right out. It is this thick. When you go home tonight, look at your strike plate. Sometimes you can look right in and you can see how thick the piece of wood is. And it's not thick. It's just your door casing. It is an easy kick job. I can only imagine the frustration that this guy ran into kicking on my door.
But like, why not break your window? That's what's odd.
Generally, because they want to carry stuff out.
Well, it's a
50 inch
big-
screen.
It's a big window. It's
It's
a
as big as the door.
yeah, but
Walk right through it.
I happen to have a set of blinds that mount to the inside of our windows, so there are actually 3 pieces of glass that he would have had to go through. But you know what? If I wanted in that bad, I'd kick the glass out. But you know, I don't think anybody's glass was kicked out.
Yeah, that's odd. Now, my alarm system has something called a glass shatter
Right,
detector.
right.
And so if glass is shattered, then it sets off the alarm. That was something new I found out about 6 months ago.
Right.
And I'm glad I have that now.
And the cellular system that I'm looking at has that as well.
Right.
And I know a lot of the Wi-Fi systems have it too, so. Yeah.
First thing I did when I moved into my house, the builders, they put in the front door and the back door, they put a key on the outside, they put this little convenient knob on the inside.
Yeah.
First thing I did was change both doors to what they call a double cylinder lock.
Right, right.
And even if they break the little window in your door and reach their arm around, all they have is a place to put a key.
Exactly. You know, and you know,
It's not very expensive.
there's a lot of debate about it though. A lot of debate.
It's not, it's standard code anymore.
It means that you have to have a key on the inside and the outside of the door.
Yeah, if there's a fire, you have to have a key to then unlock the door.
You don't have to have the key in the door. You
Right.
have the key close by to the door where it can't be reached by somebody reaching their arm.
I agree. I've done it before. I think it's a good idea. If you have a fire at your house, that's when you're not thinking straight though. If somebody breaks into your house and gets into your bedroom, you're not thinking straight. You're scared stiff. You're very likely to shoot 6 times and not hit a damn thing other than sheetrock. That's how scared you are. Rick was going to talk in a few minutes. Rick is a buddy of mine who's a retired FBI instructor, and he's going to tell you that half the time police officers shoot, they miss. And I'm telling you that if you got to try to get outside of your house because somebody's in it or there's a fire, you're going to be terrified. And I don't want to have any. I don't want to install them for somebody that might freak out, not be able to get out of their house, and then they perish in a house because of it. I agree with you though. I would have them on my house. I think they're a good idea, but I don't want to be responsible for putting a key, hanging a key over here, and somebody not realizing it, forgetting it, or not able to do it in time before they get nailed by smoke. So, yeah.
We have those two deadbolts on our doors. It may not be the smartest idea in the world, but when I go to bed at night, we put the keys in the doors and lock them and just leave them in the lock. So that if we have to get out, the key is already in the door.
Yeah, well, you know what? So they break the glass, they turn the key, and they come in. Mine was a steel door too. They didn't get in, not because of that, but, oh, you're talking about a solid steel door. Yeah, that's fine. I think where we would use a key and a key in and out would be on a glass door. Whereas either a pane or a solid piece of glass that somebody wanted to get in, unlock the door, open it up, steal your TV, stuff like that. So look, I'm going to turn it over to Rick, and I suggest that you guys ask him the questions that you were probably afraid to ask the Carrollton cop, and he's going to tell you things that guy's not going to tell you because they don't want you calling his boss saying, you sent this idiot out here and he told us this. Some of it might be a little bit scary, but it's reality. And it's reality that you deserve to know. So, Rick Gore is a 30-year friend of mine.
I was only going to come because I didn't know they were having a cop here, so I just said, I'll come talk if you want somebody with some law enforcement experience. But look, as a cop, from a cop's perspective, it sounds good when he's telling you that the cops are here and they're going to come, but in reality, man, when a cop's out there working the road, alarm calls are a dime a dozen. We hate going to them. They're a pain in the butt. People don't set them. The dog sets them off, so they're low priority. So if you expect the cops to come when your alarm goes off, they may come, but it's not a high priority call. He was going through the priority 1, 2, and 3. Because an alarm call is not a crime in progress, we don't know there's a suspect, we don't know there's violence involved, it's a low priority. So if a cop's if we're at code eating lunch and there's an alarm, it's like, yeah, okay, we'll get there, it's not a big deal. Now, if an alarm company calls and says, we have a camera, we see somebody in there, and we have audible, and we hear them moving around, somebody's breaking in, then they'll raise the priority because it's an in-progress call and we know that there's actual suspects. But, you know, I mean, he's got to be politically correct. He works for the department. He don't want to come out here and tell you that the cops aren't really going to take a high-priority call on an alarm call. So if your alarm goes off, the cops aren't going to get there real quick normally unless you're home and you're saying, there's a guy at my door, he's kicking in. Now it becomes a higher priority. It's force, we've got violence, we've got a suspect, we've got somebody in danger. It's going to raise the priority. Then you're going to get a response. Now what the response time is, I don't know.
So how do we get it raised from 4 or 3 to 1 right now?
The thing that gets things raised up is weapons, physical violence, fighting, you're trapped, I'm a lone woman, a gun, a weapon, all those things raise a priority. Then they lift a priority. So if a cop's on a call, if I'm on an alarm call and I get another call that's on alarm with a gun involved, this call gets dropped and I go. If I'm on a traffic stop and I get an in progress with a weapon, the traffic stop gets his license thrown out and have a good day and I'm gone. But if it's just an alarm call and I'm on a traffic stop, I'm going to finish, I'm going to write my ticket, okay, I'll be clearing in a minute, I'll get there. It's not a priority, and I'm not telling you that to say the cops are lazy, it's just the reality of things. So, I mean, otherwise, I thought the guy did a pretty good job. I thought you guys had good questions. I mean, the final responsibility comes down to you guys. And I mean, I'm a big gun guy. I think everybody ought to have a gun in their home. If you don't have a gun, I think you ought to probably get qualified with a gun. Maybe go a lot of gun ranges around here, give lessons. They're fairly cheap. You go there, shoot for yourself, become competent, become careful with it, and have you a gun in the house. I mean, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy. And most burglars, what he said is probably true. Most burglars who are breaking in homes, they're kind of low-key druggies. They just want to come in, grab something, go so I can go pawn it and get some cash. The problem is, a lot of your druggies are multiple-time offenders, and they may be facing 25 years for the next call. So my intent was to go in here and grab something and leave, but now I get caught by somebody, and now I'm facing 25 years, and they're at this front door, and I got to go through them to get away. And that's where it gets escalated to a higher than just a burglary snatch and grab. Because a lot of these door kicks are your stack and grab. They're kicking the door, they're grabbing, and they're going. They're looking for weapons, they're looking for jewelry, they're looking for gold, they're looking for things that they can pawn, and then they're out of your house. Most of them aren't carrying big TVs. Windows, most of the burgs I've been on, they're not going to go through windows because you don't want to carry things out and you don't want to have to go in. Breaking glass, I don't want to cut my hand. I don't want to reach through there and leave DNA evidence and cut my hand. So if I can just kick the door, I'm going to try to stay away from glass. It makes noise. It may alert the neighbors. You may have a glass sensor on your alarm. So I don't see a whole bunch of break-in with glass kicking in my experience. Not to say it doesn't happen, but most of the times your kick doors, the shock plates, the little steel plates they put in there are the screws are so small, I mean, you can pretty much butt pump a door and it'll open if you get locked out because they're just not, but replacing those screws is a great thing. Fortifying your home a little bit. If you got a door you don't use, I like using the big 2x4. It's got two little arms that you slide a 2x4 through. Those are great for a door you don't use in the garage or something. If we were doing a warrant and we're trying to kick one of those doors, man, we can't get in. We have to end up taking the hinges out or go to a different door. Those are great stoppers. But most times we got in a door, we hit that strike plate with the punch, and we're in the house. So replacing those screws is a good thing. I thought the guy did a pretty good job. I don't know what else I was going to talk about. If y'all got questions or something that I can answer, I'd be happy to, but I thought he did a pretty good job, so sure.
On security cameras, I don't know how smart these criminals are. Is it good to have it where it's visible so they go, oh, security camera, I don't want to break in?
Absolutely.
Or if it's visible, do they see it and then try to cover it up or tear it down?
Half a dozen one the other. If you have multiple, see, you can put a bunch of fake ones and you can put up one real one. So they won't really know. Since these two are fake, they see the lights. Like he said, most crooks, if they see a camera, they're going to try to either avoid it, they got to cover their face, or they got to disable to cover the camera. And if they cover a fake camera, big deal. I mean, if they're that dead set on going in there and that's not going to scare them away, they're probably going to get in anyway. So I mean, a little of both. I've got these at my place, and at night, like I said, that red light just pops up really good. I've got a little camera at my gate because I live out in the country, and it says place under surveillance videos, even though I don't have any real cameras. The sign says I do.
Yeah.
And I've got those little lights out there, so, you know, and I've got that little door alarm, so if somebody comes in my driveway, I hear it. Got one in the back, somebody walks in my patio, I hear a little alarm in the house, but I don't have the cat keep tripping it off and eating him.
The one thing you gotta understand is a professional thief is gonna get into your house, I don't care if it's a bank. The one thing you can do is not make yourself a target. Don't wear fancy jewelry, don't give people a reason to think, oh, I got like people broke into your house. What were they really looking for? What were they trying to get in there? Do you have something maybe that somebody knew about?
I can't say.
Huh?
I can't say.
Yeah, but the point is, sometimes people are their own worst enemy.
I've never seen a crook use disabling door alarm devices, I've never seen it in my whole career, to where they've turned off the power and tried to get in because they've tried to defeat an alarm. Most burglaries are your kick, snag, and grabs, and those are
Right,
mainly one. Now, businesses are a little different.
Right, those, I get it.
Right.
What I'm saying is, these are the professionals, a real badass crook.
We don't have real professional badass crooks in $200,000 neighborhoods. They don't, they're not here. Unless, of course, you're dealing in diamonds or gold on a regular basis, and he knows it, we're not meeting highly professional
That's
people.
exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You got to be very careful when you're out in public of what you're presenting.
I don't like crooks dictating how I act, but that's me.
I don't know that we have professional criminals working in our neighborhood. I think we have smash and grab thugs.
Any other questions? I know she has one question.
Is it worth investing in, real camera? I was about to do that.
You know-
I don't have the experience to know, like.
She asked if it's worth investing in a real camera. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I want to get some real cameras in my place just because I want to know if I come back and it's been broken into, I'd like to see what the guy looked like. So if you can do it, I mean, it can't hurt. But is it worth it? I mean, that's got to be an individual thing on your budget. These are a lot cheaper than
a
real.
good camera, because, some of these 7-Elevens, when they show the film, it's so grainy, you can't.
That's true. You do want to, you wanted to, yes, sir.
In your experience, how many are people like they break in, they know people, they know guns, they know people have guns, what have you seen in that?
You know, we interviewed a bank robber who took 25 banks out. We asked him, we were talking to him like, hey, how did you plan to rob these banks? And he goes, I'd walk up to the window and I'd go in and I'd rob them. And that's about how I think most crimes happen. When they go in, they're looking for things, jewelry boxes. If there's guns laying out in the open, I keep a little cheap $50 shotgun laying right out in the open of my door. If they break in and they want to take that, maybe they'll grab it and go. I don't want them looking for my expensive guns that I have around the house, either pistols or whatever, but yeah, it's a dummy gun, it's a throwdown. You hear about throwdown wallet, keeping another wallet that you can give to a crook with nothing in it. You have a throwdown gun in your house or a fake jewelry box with some fake jewelry in it. They may grab that and go. Anything else? Yes.
What would you do if somebody knocks at the door, let's say in the middle of the night? You open the door, you try to communicate through the door.
Yeah.
You grab a phone and dial 911.
The question is, what do you do if a guy knocks on your door in the middle of the night? I'm not opening my door unless I have a gun in my hand, and normally I'm still not going to open it. I'm going to communicate because in the law, if you use it, going to use force, you're going to have to be able to justify that. If you open the door and you get a fight at the door, it's not as strong as if you're talking in the door and he tries to kick your door in. Now you have more justification. So I'm not going to make it easy for him to have access to me, my property, or my weapon. So I would not answer the door. Now, would you call 911? You could if you said, hey, I don't know who you are, get off my property. And he says, hey, I just want to use your phone. Hey, man, I'll call the cops for you. I'm calling the cops. Wait outside. They're on their way. I wouldn't open the door.
One of the things that I would do that we did was install an outer door.
Another security door? I like double doors. I have a security door. I haven't put it on yet. Absolutely. You can order them. They don't have them in the store, but they're metal frame doors with a good solid screen that they can't kick in.
Or glass.
Glass is okay. They can break glass, but glass, you just make another barrier. Absolutely.
So you should speak to them when they knock on the door. You should speak to them. I'm always like, oh, I'm not gonna laugh like there's no.
Yeah, see, I do not recommend not saying anything because that's how that one lady, and I don't know where she's at, that she ended up getting the guy at the back door. Because when they knock on the door, they're seeing if you're home and if you're going to call anybody. If you don't answer, they're like, nobody's home, let's go break in. And I don't want them breaking in. I want them leaving and I'm calling 911. So I absolutely say you ought to denounce yourself. Hey, I have a gun, I don't know who you are, I'm calling 911, get off my property. But if you don't say anything, they think your house is empty. Absolutely. Crooks don't want to deal with that. They want to.
I'm sure Rick will be glad to answer any more questions when people want to come up and look at the products and continue to talk to
Yeah,
you.
you can look at the products and I'll be around if you have any questions. That's fine.
Thanks for coming out, everybody. We appreciate it.